Welcome to the YouTube live book reading and the start of African Origin of Civilization, Myth or Reality by the great Cheikh Anta. And I'm your moderator and narrator, Uriel Riley. So we pick up right at the beginning. Yes. Yes. Let's go. Peace, everyone. Peace, YouTube. Welcome. So, this is going to be such a great ride reading this wonderful book. And here we go. The champions of book reading on YouTube are here. The peaceful part of YouTube where we read books and learn from masters. I'm Master Fitness Trainer Uriel Riley, and we're going to start reading this book now. Chapter 1. What were the Egyptians? Page 1. In contemporary descriptions of the ancient Egyptians, this question is never raised. Eyewitnesses of that period formally affirmed that the Egyptians were blacks. On several occasions, Herodotus insists on the Negro character of the Egyptians, and even uses this for indirect demonstrations. For example, to prove that the flooding of the Nile cannot be caused by melting snow, he cites, among other reasons, he deems valid the following observation. It is certain that the natives of the country are black with the heat. To demonstrate that the Greek oracle is of Egyptian origin, Herodotus advances another argument. Lastly, by calling the dove black, the Dodonians indicated that the woman was Egyptian. The doves in question symbolized two Egyptian women allegedly kidnapped from Thebes to found the oracles of Dodona and Libya, to show that the inhabitants of the Colchis were the Egyptian origin and had to be considered a part of Cestrus' army who had settled in that region. Herodotus says, the Egyptians said that they believed the Colchians to be descended from the army of Cestrus. My own conjectures were founded first on the fact that they are black-skinned and have woolly hair. Finally, concerning the population of India, Herodotus distinguishes between the Padians and other Indians, describing them as follows. They all also have the same tint of skin, which approaches that of the Ethiopians. Diodorus of Sicily writes, the Ethiopians say that the Egyptians are one of their colonies, which was brought into Egypt by Osiris. They even allege that this country was originally underwater, but that the Nile, dragging much mud as it flowed from Ethiopia, had finally filled it in and made it a part of the continent. They add that from them, as from their authors and ancestors, the Egyptians get most of their laws. It is from them that the Egyptians have learned to honor kings as gods and bury them with such pomp. Sculpture and writing were invented by the Ethiopians. The Ethiopians cite evidence that they are more ancient than the Egyptians, but it is useless to report that here. Page 2 at the top. Thank you for being here. Likes and subs. The people decided on the African origin of civilization, myth or reality by Dr. Cheikh Anta. So thank you for being here, reading. We'll put it in a playlist when it's finished uploading. You get to see it live now. Thank you for being here. Peace, peace. All right. So we're on page 2. At the top. Yes. Beautiful day, divine rising. Right. If the Egyptians and Ethiopians were not of the same race, Diodorus would have emphasized the impossibility of considering the former as a colony, i.e., a fraction of the latter, and the impossibility of viewing them as forebears of the Egyptians. In this geography, in his geography, Strabo mentioned the importance of migrations in history and believing that this particular migration had proceeded from Egypt to Ethiopia remarks. Egyptians settled Ethiopia and the Colchi. Once again, it is a Greek, despite his chauvinism, who informs us that the Egyptians, Ethiopians, and the Colchians belong to the same race, thereby confirming what Herodotus had said about the Colchians. The opinion of all the ancient writers on the Egyptian race is more or less summed up by Gaston Maspero, 1846 through 1916, by the almost unanimous testimony of ancient historians. They belong to an African race, red Negro, which first settled in Ethiopia on the Middle Nile. Following the course of the river, they gradually reached the sea. Moreover, the Bible states that the Mesoram, son of Ham, brother of Cush, the Ethiopian, and of Canaan, came from the Mesopotamia to settle with his children on the banks of the Nile. According to the Bible, Egypt was peopled by the offspring of Ham, ancestor of the blacks. The descendant of Ham's are Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. The descendants of the Cush are Saba, Havilah, Sabbatha, Regma, and Sabbathtasha. Cush was the father of Nimrod. He was the first to conquer on the earth, the first to be conqueror on the earth. Mizraim became the father of Ludim, Anamin, Labim, Nephithim, and Phathrusim. Chaluhim and Canaan became the father of Sid, his firstborn, and Heth. For the peoples of the Near East, Mizraim still designates Egypt, Canaan, the entire coast of Palestine and Phoenicia, Shinar, which was probably the site from which Nimrod left for Western Asia, still indicates the kingdom of Nubia. What is the value of these statements? Coming from eyewitnesses, they could hardly be false. Herodotus may be mistaken when he reports the customs of his people, of the a people, when he reasons more or less cleverly to explain a phenomenon incomprehensible to his day, but one must grant that he was at least capable of recognizing the skin color of the inhabitants and countries he has visited. Besides, Herodotus was not a credulous historian who recorded everything without checking. He knew how to weigh things. When he relates an opinion that he does not share, he always takes care to note his disagreement, thus referring to the Moors of the Scythians and the Nurians. He writes apropos the latter. It seems that these people are conjurers, for both the Scythians and the Greeks who dwell in Scythia say that every Norian once a year becomes a wolf for a few days, at the end of which time he is restored to his proper shape. Not that I believe this, but they constantly affirm it to be true and are even ready to back up their assertions with an oath. He always distinguishes carefully between what he has seen and what he has been told. After his visit to the labyrinth, he writes, there are two different sorts of chambers throughout, half underground, half above ground, the latter built upon the former, and the whole number of these chambers is 3,000, 1,500 of each kind. The upper chambers I myself passed through and saw, and what I say concerning them is from my own observation of the underground chambers. I can only speak from report, for the keepers of the building could not be got to show them, since they contained, as they said, the sepul- sepulchres of the kings who built the labyrinth, and also those of the sacred crocodiles. Thus it is from hearsay only that I can speak of the lower chambers. The upper chambers, however, I saw with my own eyes and found them to excel all other human productions. Peace. Oh, hi, is heart love. Welcome. Thank you for the likes and subs. Peace, Prince. Hey, stop and smile. Hi, it's heart love. Welcome. Mods are in the building for the new read. Yeah, y'all chose. Thank you so much. I see the love. It's a beautiful day, right? Abundant rising, she said. Thank you so much. Oh, peace, Coco. Hi, it's heart love, Mom. Coco Monroe is in the building too. Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful book. I remember the first time I read this book, I was flying from Istanbul, Turkey, to I was flying to Libya. I used to be in 2009 and 8, I was the head trainer for the Libyan national basketball team. That's why I say I've done what I do all over the world. I've literally done what I do all over the world. And so I was training them and I was just reading this. I was just like, whoa, this is fascinating. I mean, because it gets right to it, right from the beginning, right? I mean, this first chapter is what were the Egyptians? So thank you so much. This is the second Sheikh Anta job book we're reading. When I started this channel reading books with civilization or barbarism. So yeah, this is a beautiful, beautiful reading. And so I'm very excited to bring this information to you. And it's not an easy read either. All right. So we're down at the bottom of page 3. I'm gonna read one more page and then we'll close out for today. It's a great way to start off, right? Yeah, I think so as well, right? Yeah. Was Herodotus a historian deprived of logic, unable to penetrate complex phenomena, or the on the contrary, his explanation of the inundations of the Nile reveals a rational mind seeking scientific reasons for natural phenomena? Perhaps after censoring all the opinions that have been put forward on this obscure subject, one ought to propose some theory of one's own. I will therefore proceed to explain what I think to be the reason of the Nile swelling in the summertime. During the winter, the sun is driven out of his usual course by the storms and removes to the upper parts of Libya. This is the whole secret in the fewest possible words, for it stands to reason that the country to which the sun god approaches the nearest, and which he passes most directly over, will be scantiest of water, and that here streams which feed the rivers will shrink the most. To explain, however, more at length the case is this. The sun, in his passage across the upper parts of Libya, affects them in the following way. As the air in the regions is constantly clear and the country warm through the absence of the cold winds, the sun, in his passage across them, acts upon them exactly as he is wont to act elsewhere in summer, when his path is in the middle of the heaven. That is, he attracts the water. After attracting it, he again repels it into the upper regions, where the winds lay hold of it, scatter it, and reduce it into a vapor. Once it naturally enough comes to pass that the winds which blow from the quarter, the south and west and southwest, are of all winds the most rainy. And my opinion is that the sun does not get rid of all the water which he draws year by year from the Nile, but retains some about him. These three examples reveal that Herodotus was not a passive reporter of incredible tales and rubbish, a liar. On the contrary, he was quite scrupulous, objective, scientific for his time. Why should one seek to discredit such a historian to make him seem naive? Why refabricate history despite his explicit evidence? Undoubtedly, the basic reason for this is that Herodotus, after relating his eyewitness accounts, Mhm. informing us that the Egyptians were blacks, then demonstrated with rare honesty for a Greek that Greece borrowed from Egypt all the elements of her civilization, even the cult of gods, and that Egypt was the cradle of civilizations. Moreover, archaeological discoveries continually justify Herodotus against his detractors. Thus, Christiane de Roche's Noblecourt writes about recent excavations in Tanis. Herodotus had seen the outer buildings of these sepulchres and had described them. This was the labyrinth discussed above. Pierre Montet has just proved once again that the father of history did not lie. It could be objected that the 5th century BCE, when Herodotus visited Egypt, its civilization was already more than 10,000 years old, and that the race which had created it was not necessarily the Negro race that Herodotus found there. But the whole history of Egypt, as we shall see, shows that the mixture of the early population with white nomadic elements, conquerors or merchants, became increasingly important as the end of the Egyptian history approached. According to Cornelius de Paul, in the Low Epic, Egypt was almost saturated with foreign white colonies. Arabs in Coptos, Libyans on the future site of Alexandria, Jews around the city of Hercules or of Avaris, Babylonians or Persians below Memphis, fugitive Trojans in the area of the great stone quarries east of the Nile, Carians and Ionians over by the Pelusiac branch, the Psammeticus end of 7th century, capped this peaceful invasion by entrusting the defense of Egypt to Greek mercenaries. An enormous mistake of Pharaoh Psammeticus was to commit the defense of Egypt to foreign troops and to introduce various colonies made up of the dregs of nations. Under the last C.A.D. dynasty, the Greeks were officially established at Nocratic, the only port. The only port where foreigners were authorized to engage in trading. After the conquest of Egypt by Alexander under the Ptolemies, crossbreeding between white Greeks and black Egyptians flourished thanks to a policy of assimilation. Nowhere was Dionysus more favored. Nowhere was he worshipped more adoringly and more elaborately than by the Ptolemies, who recognized his cult as an especially effective means of promoting the assimilation of the conquering Greeks and their fusion with the native Egyptians. These facts prove that if the Egyptian people had originally been white, it might well have remained so. If Herodotus found it still black after so much crossbreeding, it must have been basic black at the start. We'll pause right here. Ooh, hoo, hoo, hoo. This is how you do it. Starting off right off the beginning. All right. This is where we'll pick up when we reconvene. I want you to have a wonderful, productive day. We had the grocery giveaway yesterday, along with reading and a healing session. So it was really, really locked in. And I wanted to make sure came on today ready. My voice is a lot better because working the past 2 days I was on set. So, when we reconvene with the African origin of civilization, myth or reality by the great Dr. Cheikh Anta. We're going to be getting into some pictures soon, and I hope you enjoy the start of this reading. Let's have a glass of love water in honor of our friends and family. Solar returns. We had Miss Catherine Jackson. She just had a solar return. Feeling love to all our friends and families that have solar returns coming up, as well as for those that have elevated. We honor them with this live libation. Glass of love water for us, right? Gratitude, Coco. Hi, it's Heart Love. Thank you so much for being here. We started the new book. Us and y'all chose. Oh man, yeah. I was really set on, whatever all chose. So gotta honor the people, right? Love you. I love you. Glass of love water. Love you. Start off our day in a loving way. Oh, I love you. I love you. I love you. I had a great workout already and really got a lot done. Nice and clean. About to have some great fruits and go out on my AM run. Yes, have a wonderful day as well. Thank you so much for being here. I love you, you. I. Love, love. You know, because I love myself. All right. Have a wonderful day. I will see you soon. Thank you to the mods in the building. Coffees. Yeah, yeah, that's right. I worked for, that's right. And we used to, some of our dinners would be at this huge long table, working with the Federation there in Libya and help get their athletes to the best shape that they could. And we did it. So helping them get to the Olympics. And that was 2009. Yep. I haven't been back to Libya since, obviously, because what happened. Yeah. That was the first time I read this book. Thank you for reading with us. Thank you for the likes and subs. We're pushing towards 700 on this peaceful part of YouTube where we read books and learn from masters. I'm Master Fitness Trainer Uriel Riley. You have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon. Peace, peace.